From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Speaking with the Enemy.
All this week on Speaking with the Enemy Free Agency Edition, we've been going around the CFL, seeing what other teams are up to. And last but certainly not least, we head to Regina, Saskatchewan, home of the 2022 Grey Cup, where we find Derek Taylor and DT. Jeremy O'Day, certainly one of the busier GMs so far this offseason.
Yeah, there's been a good number of signings. The beef with fans here is that there aren't the big name signings that other teams have had, right? Hamilton's been crushing it. Oh, here's Dylan Wynn, here's Tunde Adeleke, here's Simone, here's Javon Santos Knox. And Saskatchewan just hasn't had that same thing. They've gotten in guys that are going to be great pieces. There are, Nick Marshall, Micah Tights. Just yesterday was Larry Dean, who Ticats fans know well. But there have been a lot of complementary pieces as opposed to the big ones. What about Duke? What about anybody outside coming in? So there's been activity, but Rider fans want to feel like it's the activity the Bombers or the Stampeders are having.
Yeah, Purifoy, one of those names that, again, someone who might be back. Johnson, and I want to stick with those little depth moves, because I remember talking to you last year, and Micah Johnson and AC Leonard, those were the names that you were kind of throwing out there as players to watch. And when you are building a team to compete in the very competitive West, which we expect it to be, aren't those the guys who, they might not be the flashy names, but at the end of the day, some of those are ratio busters. Those are the guys that you need to build a team with.
Absolutely. So AC Leonard was like the first guy out of the gate, right? Jeremy O'Day and the Riders went, hey, there aren't many players in the league who do what this guy does. So boom, AC Leonard. Okay, excellent. So your defensive line is set at the ends because Jonathan Woodard, who was second in the team in sacks, is on his American rookie contract. So he's going to be back. They're set there. Then we watch for guys like Micah Johnson, and it's been those guys who are a little older, but still with plenty left to give. Micah Johnson's the one you brought up, led the league in tackles for a loss this season. People focus on the sacks, but this guy's blowing up run plays as well as generating pressure from the interior. What's his future? We have every reason to believe Ed Gainey and Luchez Purifoy will be moving on. I'm hearing that BC and Purifoy is going to be at 2 years, and that one's finished. And I believe Gainey's off to Edmonton. But both of those guys in the last week have kind of tweeted, "Hey, thanks, Rider Nation," which obviously throws the fear of everything into you. Like, well, who's going to be this? Who's going to be the Swiss Army knife? So there are some real nice pieces in place, but just waiting for the rest of it.
Mentioned off the top that Regina, Saskatchewan, the home of the 2022 Grey Cup, and I know last year there was sort of an anticipation that the Ticats were going to make moves to compete to get to host. Do you feel that same pressure on Jeremy O'Day to go out and maybe make a few splashy moves on Tuesday to make sure this team's competitive, that, even if it's not guaranteed they're going to be there, there's still a good chance they could make it to the big game?
If nothing else, Jeremy O'Day, the Riders GM, is very level-headed and very calm. That's how he comes across every time I've ever talked to him, and he's very rational. So when he says, we want to win the Grey Cup every year, there's not too much special about this year, I kind of believe him, but in my heart, I think, I've said this many times in the air, I will absolutely give the Riders, as a fan, I'll give them a pass on 2023. They can be a terrible team in 23 if they go all out to win it in 2022, because you well know what it's like to cover a team and have a team play in a Grey Cup at home. Rider fans know what it's like to win a Grey Cup at home from 2013, and those memories will be around forever. And maybe you can increase your chances 5%, 8%. But I would be glad to give the Riders an absolute pass on whatever happens in 23 if they busted it in 2022. But I don't have to be accountable for the salary cap like Jeremy O'Day does. So we have different things in mind. Jerry is very, very level-headed and approaches this stuff in I think just the way you really want your GM to do it long term.
All right, so you say there might be a little frustration from the fan base that they aren't signing those big names. If they were to go out, where do you think Jeremy O'Day might see some either value or try to make a big name splash on Tuesday?
Well, for me, the biggest free agent that there is non-quarterback division has always been Duke Williams. And they had a bunch of games last season in order to show Duke, hey, this is what it could be in Saskatchewan. He had maybe the play of the year in the West Final, that touchdown that gave the Riders back the lead. He's the prime free agent. He may not be the highest paid one when all is said and done, because Kenny Wilder's deal looks pretty great. But it's been for me all about Duke. So if Duke is back, okay, well, that's better than anybody you could go to market to get. So then it's Duke and Shaq and Kyron Moore when he's back from his knee injury. And then Kean Schaefer-Baker, who absolutely popped as a rookie in 2021. And then they'll add in a fifth receiver, and you go, all right, that's a real good start. If you're going to the market, you're going to bring somebody in. It's got to be on the offensive line for me. They showed a great ability to fill in last season at that Sam linebacker spot with players, be they Canadians, Godfrey Onyeka, or Americans, Roland Milligan. They showed great ability through injuries to fill in the defensive backfield as well. They got great production from young American offensive linemen as well. But offensive line is the thing that's going to need to improve over last season. Taron Vaughn is back at left tackle after missing all of 21. They've signed Natai Rogers at right tackle. That one doesn't have any particular sex appeal, right, for CFL fans. So if there is someone like Riker Matthews, who BC took from Hamilton for the 21 season, a player like that who could be healthy for the whole season, and that to me was Riker's problem. He's fantastic, but you can't play if you're injured. Yeah. There's that player out there. That's the one that's going to jack up Rider fans. But a lot of teams struggled with their offensive line in 21. So where are those players going to come, and are there the difference makers out there?
It's funny you say that. I mean, the Ticats, 3 of their big free agent signing or like re-signings, Kay Okafor, Brandon Revenberg, and Chris Van Zyl. I mean, that's more than half of your offensive line that the Ticats have already taken care of. And just to your point, like you said, such a huge position on the field. One more before I let you go, just kind of on a league-wide perspective. Edmonton with Chris Jones is going to be able to turn it around. Chris Jones can turn around football teams. It's what he does. BC, they're pretty confident in Nathan Rourke. They want to be competitive. From a fan perspective, league-wide, the East was competitive this year. No crossovers. Is this the most parity outside of Winnipeg and Hamilton, maybe being kind of upper tier? Is this the most kind of parity you've seen among CFL teams? And is that better for the fans?
Oh, I think it's fantastic for the fans, because fans in Ottawa want to believe that, hey, we can rebound from 2 subpar seasons because we believe in Lapo and we believe in Benavides and we believe in now Sean Burke leading it. There's always that potential, right? Toronto had won 4 games in 2019, was it? And 3 of them were beating Ottawa. And then all of a sudden they're in the East Final. As you watch this free agent season, you look at it and go, well, BC wasn't very good last year with Mike Riley being injured and those, but man, look at all these free agents that are going there. Wow, that could be a real quick turnaround too. The Elks, why were they so bad in 21 when they had all that talent? Chris Jones, like you say, there's the real thought that, okay, Winnipeg looks like they're once again setting themselves above because they were able to get all these stars back. But yeah, at this point, you look at it and go, yeah, the bad teams are really look like they're improving. And, Hamilton and Winnipeg are going to be in for potentially a bit of a challenge. We'll see what Tuesday brings when all these deals become final. But Hamilton and Winnipeg, God, the problem is they're both re-signing their stars too. That Dylan Wynn goes back to the Ticats. That guy couldn't move on and spread some of that absolute destructive interior force around the league. It had to stay in Hamilton. Come on, man.
You sound upset about it. You sound like maybe you thought the Riders could have been in on him.
I don't cover the Ticats. So no, and honestly, that's on winning. Winning seems to breed winning, right? Yeah. Like if you're in the East and you like being in the East, pretend that's a priority for you as a player. Why would you leave Hamilton?
Yeah.
All they do is win, no matter what, right? It's been pretty great for those 2 teams. So it's on the other 7 to kind of come up to their level and get them.
Well, they win, but we all know who took home the trophy the last 2 seasons the football has been played. DT, always appreciate you doing this, man. It's always great to catch up, and I always learn something from you, so thanks for doing this.
Thanks for Louie.